Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All Gosha Prabhupada. Welcome to devotees to today's Bhagavatam class. Today we'll be discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, Verse 4, the appearance of Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Just started the chapter. We are in the section where Maharaj Parikshit comes back very morose, disturbed, saddened for the act that he has committed. And he's going through emotions, questions, all kinds of stuff. So we are at this chapter right now, and we're very happy to have His Holiness Candramauli Swami with us. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you and Srila Prabhupada.
Right. My obeisances to you and all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. And it's all yours, Maharaj.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Satyantayamitam atasrodayata. Uno suto kro mune suto niritas taksaka kyayaha. Sarumene nachirena taksaka nalam bhasa tasya virakti karanam. Translation. When the king was thus repenting, he received news of his imminent death, which would be due to the bite of a snake bird, occasioned by the curse spoken by the sage's son. The king accepted this as good news, for it would be the cause of his indifference towards worldly things. Real happiness is achieved by spiritual existence or by the cessation of the repetition of birth and death. One can stop the repetition of birth and death only by going back to Godhead. In the material world, even by attaining the topmost planet, Brahmaloka, one cannot get rid of the conditions of repeated birth and death, but still, we do not accept the path of attaining perfection. The path of perfection frees one from all material attachments, and thus one becomes fit to enter into this spiritual kingdom. Therefore, those who are materially poverty-stricken are better candidates than those who are materially prosperous. Maharaj Parikshit was a great devotee of the Lord and a bona fide candidate for entering into the kingdom of God. But even though he was so, his material assets as the emperor of the world were setbacks to a perfect attainment of his rightful status as one of the associates of the Lord in the spiritual sky. As a devotee of the Lord, he could understand that the cursing of the Brahmin boy, although unwise, was a blessing upon him, being the cause of detachment from worldly affairs, both political and social. Shamak Muni also, after regretting the incident, conveyed the news to the king as a matter of duty so that the king would be able to prepare himself to go back to Godhead. Shamak Muni sent news to the king of that foolish Shringi, his son, although a powerful Brahmin boy, unfortunately had misused his spiritual power by cursing the king unwarrantedly. The incident of the king's garland of Muni was not sufficient cause for being cursed to death, but since there was no way to retract the curse, the king was informed to prepare for death within a week. Both Shamak Muni and the king were self-realized souls. Shamak Muni was a mystic and Maharaj Parikshit was a devotee. Therefore, there was no difference between them in self-realization. Neither of them was afraid of meeting death. Maharaj Parikshit could have gone to the Muni to beg his pardon, but the news of his imminent death was conveyed to the king With so much regret by the Muni that the king did not want to shame the Muni further by his presence there. He decided to prepare himself for his imminent death and find out the way to go back to Godhead. The life of a human being is a chance to prepare oneself to go back to Godhead, or to get rid of material existence, the repetition of birth and death. Thus, in the system of Varnashram Dharma, every man and woman is trained for this purpose. In other words, the system of Varnashram Dharma is known as Sanatan Dharma, or the eternal occupation. The system of Varnashram Dharma prepares a man for going back to Godhead. And thus a householder is ordered to go to the forest as a vanapras to acquire complete knowledge and then to take sannyas prior to his inevitable death. Maharaj Parikshit was fortunate to get a 7-day notice to meet his inevitable death. But for the common man, there is no definite notice, although death is inevitable for all. Foolish men forget the sure fact of death and neglect the duty of preparing themselves for going back to Godhead. They spoil their lives in animal propensities to eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy. Such an irresponsible life is adopted by the people of the age of Kali because of a sinful desire to condemn the rabbinical culture. God consciousness and cow protection, for which the state is responsible. The state must employ revenue to advance these 3 items and thus educate the population to prepare for death. The state which does so is the real welfare state. The state of India should better follow the examples of Maharaj Parikshit, the ideal executive head, than to imitate other materialistic states which have no idea of the kingdom of God, the ultimate goal of human life. Deterioration of the ideals of Indian civilization has brought about the deterioration of civic life, not only in India, but also abroad. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutalo Swami Padam Manam Padati Swam Padati Kam. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, the living entity is Jiva Surupai Krishna and Nityadas. The living entity has only one identity, a pure spirit soul who has a particular form that exists in the spiritual world that serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead eternally in loving devotion. All other identities are simply accepted due to the association of the material energy, which means that one has accepted a material body as one's identity. The identity of the material body causes one to create further identities based on that, which are all extensions of the wrong identity. We say we're not this body, and that is actually a fact. The body, we live in the body, but we are not the body. But in the material world, you cannot live here unless you have a body that is conducive, or what we say, appropriate to live in this particular atmosphere. So the soul, being locked into this material body, identifies themselves with the material body and therefore makes big arrangements for happiness in this world, with society, friendship, family, and various types of positions and identities that come with these positions in this material world. But janasamoham yamaham mameti. This illusion is perpetuated simply by accepting the material body, and then identifying that as the individual person. Death is a way to bring us back to our rightful understanding of our identity. Death is not final, as long as there is desires to enjoy in this material world. Death will cause one to again take another body, maybe in another situation, either better or worse, but somewhere in the material. The scripture says, Kardanan Guna Sango Sho Sarasa Jona Janmasu. From the highest planet to the material world down to the lowest, all the places of misery. And there are 3 levels of that misery that are given as different levels of existence by which the living entity can act out its false idea of being the enjoyer. Living entity is not the enjoyer. The living entity also has the propensity to enjoy, but the living entity is trying to find enjoyment in the wrong place. For giving you I give you an example. There was one man. He was looking on the ground. He's looking. And his friend comes along, notices him. He says, "Oh, nice to see you, but I see you're looking around. What are you looking for?" He said, I lost some money, and I'm trying to find it." So his friend said, "All right, I'll help you look." So they're both looking. After some time, the friend says, "Are you sure you lost the money here? We don't seem to find anything." He said, "No, I didn't lose it here. I lost it down the road there, but there's more light here. There's more light here." So seeing is not believing. So because we are in contact with the material energy and we can see it, we can experience it, we think that is the reality. But it's not. The reality is the spiritual existence. And therefore, because we can't see it, well, we can only understand it through knowledge that comes from higher sources. We put it on the back burner, and we still continue to somehow or other make plans to enjoy in this material world. And that's unfortunate. So we see Maharaj Parikshit is a beautiful example of how to turn something unfortunate into something not only fortunate, but supremely fortunate. He had the power to counteract the curse given by the Brahman's son Shringi. He could have did that. And his father would have supported him in that. And Shamik Rishi would have supported the king. But he didn't do it. He took it as a benediction to get free from all of his activities in the material world and to achieve the goal of life back home, back to Godhead. So in the real sense of the word, Maharaj Parikshit being cursed was a great fortune for him and for the world in general, because it allowed the world in general to hear from Sukadev Goswami. And that you'll see as it comes up in the later part of this chapter. But the main point here is that what is good and what is bad. Anything that brings us closer to Krishna is good, but it may be seen from the material world as being bad or something unfortunate. And anything that keeps us in this material world may look good, but if it keeps us in this material world or perpetuates our material consciousness, then that is considered to be inauspicious or bad. And we see, for example, people, they gain material success in different ways, and they think that is their good fortune. But sometimes that material success turns into the most horrible experience in their life. And sometimes it kills them. Sometimes it relegates them to various types of suffering. So material success, material gain is never considered to be a positive thing. The only thing good about material gain is when it's used in the service of the Lord as an offering to the Lord, then it can be a blessing. But otherwise, it is simply an entanglement in the material world more and more. So therefore, a devotee can accept reverses in life as opportunities to make advancement in spiritual life. I was giving the example how one very uh, elevated devotee, before he actually joined the Krishna conscious movement, he was traveling in India, and he was going to different ashrams and meeting different yogis and sadhus, and he was getting different books from these different ashrams. And he didn't have any possessions other than his books. He had a bag that he would carry the books in, and he would read the books as much as he could while he was traveling. He didn't live inside. He was always living outside. He slept on the banks of the river Ganges and other holy rivers wherever he was. And but after a while, after traveling and meeting so many sadhus, he became more and more absorbed in the different philosophies that they had to offer. And he was searching for that philosophy. But the problem was the books were becoming heavy, and he was trying to travel, and he carried the books all around. It became a burden after a while. But then he would stop and he would look and he would go through the books and he would see which books that he could get rid of and which ones he could keep. But it was difficult for him to make that choice. So what he did was he was always thinking, boy, I like this book. I can't give up this one. This one is nice. I haven't read this one yet. But one night when he went to sleep on the banks of the river and he woke up the next morning, all his books were gone. Somebody had taken them. And then as his first reaction, he said, oh my God, all my books are gone. Someone stole them. But then he thought, wow, yeah, but now I can travel easy. It won't be such a burden. So here's an example how what appears to be something that is a curse or a difficulty or a reverse in life, a devotee knows how to see things in relationship to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was another example when he was in his home during World War II. He was living in Calcutta, and they were living in the, in the London quarter. And the bombs sometimes would come from the Germans, would be bombing that area. And the sirens would go off to warn people to go into the bunker. So one night, Prabhupada was there with his family and a friend also. And then the sirens went off warning people now go to the bunkers. But Prabhupada didn't go. His friends had, called him by his name, Abai, let's go to the bunkers. He said, no, you go. I'm staying here. I want to take evening meal. So, and when Prabhupada was there, he describes later, he said, I was seeing the bombs coming, and I was thinking, here comes Krishna in the form of a bomb. So a devotee sees Krishna and everything in Krishna and knows how to use every situation as a way to benefit someone or themselves in making progress towards devotional service. That requires some thoughtfulness and some discrimination and some intelligence and some detachment. If we're not detached in our material life, we will see that gain and loss in material life is an opportunity for happiness and misery. The devotee knows everything in this world belongs to Krishna, even my body. So if Krishna wants to take it away through various means, then that's his prerogative. If Krishna wants to give me more, that's also his prerogative. I try to preserve my existence by keeping myself engaged in devotional service. And that is my focus. But whatever Krishna wants to do, if he wants to send me some misery, then or he allows misery to come for whatever reason, then I take shelter of his lotus feet and pray for his mercy so I can use this opportunity to become more and more connected to him in devotional service. A devotee always sees that for a devotee, there's nothing inauspicious. There was the story of Bhakti Tirtha Swami when he was overcome with cancer. His whole body, his cancer had reached into the bones, which is the most painful form of cancer when it goes into the bones. But at one time when he was hearing the transcendental narration of Chaitanya Charitamrita, spoken by another pure devotee, or it was Radhanath Swami was reading to him, he was saying, although he was suffering tremendously from some physical pain, he was saying, this doesn't get any better. It just doesn't get any better. His consciousness was fixed on hearing the glories of the Lord, and he was transcending the effects of his physical suffering. And so he wasn't complaining about what he was going through. He was simply taking the opportunity to come closer to Krishna. So this is a devotee. The devotee sees everything as an opportunity to move forward in devotional service. And so here, and Prabhupada says, the first line of a purport is always a powerful statement to wake up the reader into a certain direction of thought. And here Prabhupada says, real happiness is achieved by spiritual existence or by cessation of repetition of birth and death. So people want happiness, but they don't know what real happiness is. Happiness is not some temporary cessation of some misery that comes by way of material arrangements, because that is not happiness. That's just some stopping of the misery. Real happiness is when the soul is awakened to its relationship with Krishna. When it experiences something that may come from the external environment that will inspire the soul to awaken itself towards Krishna. That is real happiness. And when that continues, it becomes constant. And then the devotee is joyful, constantly in Krishna consciousness. So that is what, so devotees are people who seek out the essence. The karmis, they don't know what the essence is, so they can't seek it out. They think essence is material gain or stopping material suffering. They think that's the essence. But devotees understand the essence is Krishna. And whatever Krishna sends, I can use that to somehow or other come closer to him in devotional service. And they keep their mind on the goal. Their goal is to go back home, back to Godhead, and attain their position in the spiritual world as an eternal servant of the Lord in loving devotion. They don't see anything valuable in this material world. Prabhupada was walking one time in Mexico, and he was with his devotees, and there was a large, what we say, garbage dumpster where they place garbage. So there was something written in Spanish on the outside of the container. And Prabhupada asked the devotee, what does that say? And the devotee said, it says, Prabhupada, put your trash here. And Prabhupada said, yes, we should put the whole material world there. This is a realization of a self-realized soul. He understands that this material world has no value. It's just an anomaly. And because we somehow or other are here, we have to make the best use and try to use what Krishna gives us to get out and go back home, back to Godhead. That is the goal of life. Anything short of that means coming back again to try again to somehow or other find some kind of flickering happiness in this temporary existence, which is full of material suffering. So a devotee is very much fixed on the goal. And although they may be successful materially or they may be poverty stricken, as Prabhupada says here, it's interesting. He says, those who are materially poverty-stricken are better candidates than those who are materially prosperous. Yeah. Yeah, they say it's really hard to speak knowledge, transcendental knowledge, to people who are materially well off. They think, "Well, I've achieved something in the life and I'm happy." They convince themselves they're happy by that achievement because by standards, and this is what is given as a success in life. The material world, in all of its propaganda, teaches you have a nice family, if you have a beautiful wife, a qualified husband, if you have a good position in society and you can make enough money to take care of all your needs and to have extra for enjoying any way you want, then you have made it. But where you made it, you're on your way to hell, really, because this material world is what it is. It's dukkhalayam asasritam. It actually is a prison. It's a prison for the soul. The soul can never be completely happy or free in this material world. Although it desires to be happy and free, it cannot, because the limitations of the material energy and doesn't allow the soul to experience its own transcendental joy, which is there within itself, can only be experienced in connection with Krishna. And when we get a taste of that, then we want to go farther and farther into that area and become fully Krishna consciousness. So here, this purport is really, really powerful. Maharaj Pariksit, I mean, everybody would aspire to get his position in the material world. I mean, when you hear how successful he was materially, king of the world, not just king of a country, king of the world, qualified, ministers, cabinet members, treasury was full of riches, and wonderful family. Everything was in place. But it's just a burden. So the real and that is one who knows the goal of life. So we have to be careful, because Maya will always try to convince us that, as long as you continue to endeavor in a material way, you'll sooner or later become successful. The non-devotees, they live in the future. They can't experience their satisfaction in the present. They're always planning for the future. And they think that if I keep planning, I'll get the right plan, and then I'll be able to execute it, and I'll be happy. I'll have whatever I need, and then I'll be successful in life. Some of them, when they start to realize that that's not the thing, they become morose, and then they engage in just what we say sinful activities to get some immediate happiness through various types of intoxication, licentious activities. They become frustrated, knowing they can't be to enjoy, so they try to enjoy in a way that is detrimental to themselves and to others. So there are so many different types of people in this world. They're all somehow or other still playing with this material energy to get something from it. But all of them ultimately are winding up becoming what we say full of anxiety, because this material world is what it is. The more you try to enjoy it, the more you suffer. And that's the way it is. This material world is designed in that way, so to bring the conditioned soul to a point of giving it up and coming back to its position in the spiritual world. And so here we have, I mean, you think about Maharaj Pariksit, he could have changed anything around. He could have kept his position, could have went on in life. Everything would have been fine. He had the power to do that, but he didn't. He took it as an opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. So he's an example of how the devotee thinks when things become reversed in the material sense in life. They take advantage that this is an opportunity to increase my Krishna consciousness. Okay, we can stop here.
Thank you, Marge, for such a really in-depth class and really making us think of our own material lives and evaluating and how much we're attached to it. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and request devotees wherever you're at, if you could please, excuse me, turn on your videos if possible. And if you have any questions, any comments, go ahead, Sri Devi. You're ahead of me.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Very
Dear
well.
Guru Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. What a very deep and compelling class in terms of keeping in mind always the goal of the human form of existence. Guru Maharaj, in the end, you said that non-devotees, they're just going on trying to enjoy this material world, getting more and more frustrated. But how come they are not able to understand and give it up? Because they simply, even we did that, keep taking birth again and again, trying to enjoy. When will that breakthrough come? When will that uh, understanding come that I have to turn to Krishna? This is not working.
Uh, some of them are ignorant. They don't know what to do. They don't know there is an alternative to their attempts to become happy. They just think the alternative is to try for happiness in a different way. That's all. Many of them, and that's the way the world teaches you. You know, it doesn't work this way, but it does work. You just have to find the way that it works. It might be individual, but it works for you. You just have to understand how to find that happiness. But then there's those who are, they just, they can't, although they have the opportunity to take the spiritual life, they have no understanding what it is and how they can actually benefit from it. They think it's another form of life where people are doing the same thing I'm doing, but they have God in the center. That's all. So there's different mentalities or different conceptions of how people see their situation and how they want to somehow change it. But when people when people really want spiritual life, then Krishna sends them a bona fide spiritual process to a bona fide spiritual person. But even people who want spiritual life, they still want material life and spiritual life. That's many devotees are like that. They still want to enjoy this material world and they still want to be Krishna conscious at the same time. And so that these two things don't mix. One will give way to the other in due course of time. And the more one emphasizes one, the other one becomes less and vice versa. So, yeah. So what does it mean to be fully Krishna conscious? Bhakti Tirtha Swami made a very nice statement, which really illustrates the essence of how a devotee thinks. And he made that statement in front of the entire assembly of devotees in Mayapur one year. It was thousands of devotees listening to his class. And he said, we should make this statement. And it's written, my dear Lord, whatever it takes for me to become your devotee, bring it on. And whatever, my dear Lord, whatever it takes for me to give up this material world, take it away. He's asking to bring on those things that will bring him closer to Krishna and take away everything that will cause me to stay locked in this material world. So if you pray like that, you should be ready for whatever happens, because the one who sincerely prays like that, things will happen if you sincerely pray. If you make a presumptuous prayer, then Krishna says, well, they're not really sincere. They're just trying to give some lip service. Are we really ready to give up material life? Think about it. Does it mean give up material activities? It means to spiritualize your material activities. That's what it means. And certain material activities have to be given up, and others have to be spiritualized. It's not that we stop all activities in relationship to the body. That's not possible or practical, nor is it suggested or indicated by the scriptures. The art is to minimize your material activities and to use whatever's left in the service of the Lord. That's all. That you have to know how to do. What's necessary and what is not necessary. And that sometimes that takes guidance. Sometimes we come by way of trial and error. We start to understand. For instance, learning how to execute the process of bhakti according to how best we can take advantage of the mercy that is available. That's the science that you have to learn from the books, from the teachers, from the spiritual master, and from your own experiences in executing devotional service. Devotees should be always thinking, how can I make advancement in spiritual life? And of course, we come back to the essence, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. That helps to give us what we say, fast track towards that consciousness, which will make it very natural and simple to give up material activities. When we get that higher taste that comes from Shravanam, Kirtanam, Krishna Smaranam. We got to go for the higher taste. It's hard to give up the lower taste unless you get the higher taste. You can give it up theoretically, but you can't maintain it unless you get that higher taste. And the higher taste comes from Lord Chaitanya's chant the holy names, serve the Vaishnavas with a desire to associate and please the Vaishnavas, and take this Krishna conscious knowledge and give it to others in different ways. He gave a 3-point formula: Nam Ruchi, Vaishnav Seva, Jiva Doya. But then there's other activities, of course. There's worshiping the Lord in his deity form. There is going to holy places. There is performing various yatras. There is worshiping the Lord on his appearance days and all of the holidays centered around glorification of the Lord with pure devotees. So many activities. The Lord Chaitanya focused on 3. Harinam, Namruchi, Jivadoya, Vaishnav Seva. So if we can emphasize those 3, you can also do other activities, of course, like hearing and chanting the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam is a very powerful way to awaken that desire to glorify the Lord, because Bhagavatam is only a glorification of the Lord in the pure essence of philosophical knowledge. It doesn't mix itself up. Many scriptures mix material considerations in with their execution or with their presentation of spiritual knowledge. Bhagavatam's pure. Nasta prayeshu abhadresha nityam bhagavata sevaya. It should be done every day. And take that knowledge and learn how to use it to further your advancement in Krishna consciousness. But the essence is try to learn more and more about Krishna. It's all about Krishna. The whole thing is about Krishna. Hear about Krishna, talk about Krishna. remember Krishna, serve Krishna, inspire others to do the same. Learn about how Krishna thinks, how he does things, how he relates to his devotees, how he relates to the material energy. Make a study of Krishna. It's so interesting. And when you're making a study of Krishna, you're making a study of yourself also, because you are connected to Krishna automatically. So the process is simple. The material life is so very attractive, especially in Kali Yuga.
This is the point, Gurudev. I want to know, supposing some of our materialistic, non-devotee relatives, they're expressing a desire to come to the holy dham of Mayapur. Is that the first indication that they're taking some interest in spiritual life? Or it's like, oh, Sri Devi is there, let me just go there for a holiday.
Well, that's up to them. I don't know their motivation. But if their motivation is just to come to visit you, if they come to the Holy Dham, that's fine. They will get spiritual benefit from that automatically. But if they come to learn more about spiritual life and to associate with devotees, then that motivation will move them along faster on the platform of purification. But if any way they come, that's fine.
So how should I be? How should we as devotees try to serve these people, Gurudev?
Take them around the Dham.
Okay.
Show them and explain all of the different activities that go on in the Dham. Talk about the history of the Dham. You were there last year when we did our Govardhan Echo Village, right?
Yes, Gurudev.
When we got our first orientation, what did that devotee speak about? You remember?
Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's devotees, Krishna's sweet dealings, Krishna's pranks, Krishna's naughtiness.
Well, no, that was second. What did he speak about first?
Oh, how did it all happen? How did Radhanath Maharaj conceive of this Govardhan Eco Village as being something to attract and purify the people of Maharashtra and all over the world also?
The history of the place we were there, which was really brought us closer in tune with where we were. And at the same time, we can do that in any place. How did Vrindavan start? How did Mayapur begin? Get them interested in the history of this whole spiritual abode. It's not just a piece of land that somehow we bought. It's actually an arrangement by the Supreme Lord through his devotees to perform pastimes in the material world.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances.
Very nice question, Prabhu. Thank you so much for asking. Silpresh Prabhu, it's yours.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Maharaj. Maharaj, I was reading about Jagannath Das Babaji last night, and he was incredibly detached and renounced. He seemed to have a lot of physical limitations, but that didn't stop him. I think he lived to be 140 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing he said was that you shouldn't even associate with a man who associates with women.
Mm-hmm.
So as grihastas, all our friends, everyone were married or people have friendships, relationships. I mean, I was thinking that kind of detachment, renunciation, we don't have a chance. And, it kind of made me think, like, do we keep having to come back lifetime after lifetime after lifetime until we reach that point?
Well,
or can we do it
One should not be attached to the association of the opposite sex, nor be attached to people who are attached to the opposite sex. Both of these are undesirable association. If a man associates with a woman, doesn't mean he is attached to that. He may do it as a duty. There might be some attachment there. If it's a family person, that's fine. But there's people who are attached to associating with women. That kind of association is undesirable for those who are serious. The Lord Chaitanya spoke that verse. Where is it? Can't remember the verse. It's a very powerful verse Lord Chaitanya spoke. Can we find that verse? Let's see. It's got ha hunta in the verse. Ha
I'll search on the database much. Hahanta, you said?
hunta. Hanta is said twice in the verse. Ha hunta.
Is it CC Madhya 258, Maharaj?
What does it say?
Amunya dhanyani dinantarini hare tvat alokanam antarena ananta bandhu karunaika sindhu ahanta kantam nayami.
No, that's not it.
That's not it? Okay, let me find another one then.
Bhajana yasya, something also.
Try Madhya Leela 11.8, Anasuya.
Madhya 11.8?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go there. Madhya 11.8. Okay, let me check that.
Bring it up again.
Sure, Maharaj. I'm going to share the screen right now.
Niskinchanasya Bhagavan Bhajano Namaskar Parampara Jigamasur Baba Sagana Yas Sandarsanam Visayanata Yoshita Cha Ha Hanta Visha Baksanata Pya Sadhu. Greatly lamenting the Lord informed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, alas, for a person who is seriously desiring to cross the material ocean and engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord without seeing a materialistic engaged in sense gratification, or seeing a woman who is similarly interested is more abominable than drinking poison willingly. Seeing a materialist engaged in sense gratification. And then the explanation of the verses there in the purport. So yeah, so when the word woman in the Shastra has to be given some explanation. The word woman is understood as woman for man is woman, and woman for woman is man. In other words, woman really means the opposite sex. That's the actual terminology that requires explanation. It doesn't always refer to the female gender. For a man, woman is woman, and for a woman, man is woman. That's how it's understood. So you don't think it's just some one-sided thing. It's actually goes for those who are serious. I mean, it says here, a person who is seriously desiring to cross the material ocean and engage in loving service without material motives. And then it says, so it means the association of people who are attached to women or to associate with women for the sake of sense gratification. That doesn't mean your wife. That doesn't mean your wife. It means those who seek out the opposite sex and only to enjoy the happiness that comes with that association.
Hope that helps, Alpesh Prabhu.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. That clarification really helps. Thank you
Don't
so
try,
much.
I don't think you can try to imitate Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. You have to, no, you have to, but you should understand from the great souls what is ultimately the highest principle. Then you have to work according to the level that you're practicing on. So if you're a family member, you should do your duty as a family member, but you shouldn't be attached to your wife's body as an object of your sense gratification. That we should see the wife as simply my partner in Krishna consciousness. We share Krishna consciousness together. We follow the principles by which Krishna consciousness develops, and we work together to go back home, back to Godhead. At least up to a certain age, anyway. So so one has to understand what are the principles of each of the ashrams. But detachment is there in all of the ashrams. That's the point. If you're in the renounced order and you're attached, it doesn't mean because you're in the renounced order doesn't mean you're not attached. You could be still attached. And if you're a grihasta and you're not attached, then that is actually higher than being in the renounced order and being attached. So the attachment has to come to Krishna and devotional service. And one has to work in such a way as to fulfill their duties in whatever ashram that they are presently serving in. Now that means rules and regulations.
Thank you, Maharaj. Very, very helpful. Thank you for clearing my doubts and misunderstandings. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the wonderful question, Prabhu. Any questions from the boys that you would like to ask, please either do raise your hand or you can put it in the chat and I'll be happy to read it. Marge, as you were reading the purport, where Srila Prabhupada was saying that the materially poverty-stricken are actually more blessed than the ones who are materially attached. And I remember, I think it was Nectar of Instruction, I believe, or Nectar of Devotion, where it's also written that when Krishna takes away, when Krishna favors a devotee, he takes away things from them. So does that and this purport, Maharaj, go hand in hand?
Wait a minute. First of all, it's not material. It's material prosperity that the word is. And the second point is, Prabhupada quotes that verse from the 11th canto. No, 10th canto, 88th chapter. I don't know the verse number, 1088 something, where, if Krishna favors one, then he takes away everything and he leaves the devotee with himself only. But then Prabhupada explains it in a little slightly different way. He says, if Krishna favors you, he gives you all kinds of material things. But if Krishna really favors you, special favor, then he takes it all away. That's how it's understood.
Marge, why, I'm just curious, trying to understand why are there two phases? I'm trying to.
Well, sometimes because the devotee wants something on a material level and he's engaged in devotional service, he's pleasing the Lord. So the Lord will give him something to reciprocate. He wants, but the Lord doesn't do that in such a way as to cause that devotee to become less enthusiastic in their Krishna consciousness.
And then if he really, really favors, then he takes everything.
Yeah.
That's interesting, Marge, because I'm looking at both the phases, and it's really interesting. Because Marge, what's coming to my mind is that so that the devotee doesn't lose faith or trust or in Krishna, and can continue his devotional service, the Lord will give him. And then when he really fails, then the Lord takes it back. It's like the Lord gives and the Lord takes. I was just thinking about it in my picture, in my mind.
Yeah. You have to lose everything anyway at one point. So
Yes.
Bhakti Swami wrote that Beggar 4, die before dying. Learn how to die to those things that are keeping you from dying. Dying means to be free from all of the worldly activities and desires, but therefore you haven't really died to all those things. When death comes, then you'll continue to again experience death in another life. You have to continue to Maya Lavatse, Kacho Bese, Kacho Habu Dubai. Life after life, we go through the same cycles, different situations. Higher planets, middle planets, lower planets, somewhere in the material arrangement, the soul is thrown according to their desires to enjoy.
Marge, I think, is this the verse, Marge, that you're talking about? Canto 10, chapter 88, verse 8?
Might be, I'm not sure the number.
Yeah, it says the personality of Godhead said, if I especially favor someone,
Yeah.
I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. Is that it, Marge?
Jai ho.
Marge, the way it says one after another, it sounds like, like tumbling down.
But a devotee who is completely surrendered and using everything in Krishna consciousness, Krishna will just give them more and more because he knows he'll just use it for my service. So a devotee might be very, from the external point of view, might be very powerful and very surrounded by a lot of material things, but they have no attachment to it. So you can't see that consciousness of that devotee, but Krishna understands their heart. But those who want these material things so they can still find some situation in the material world, then Krishna is careful how he deals with that person.
Thank you, Marge. Yeah.
If he takes everything away really fast, the devotee might freak out and go back and try to use his energy and time to, again, accumulate everything. So he does it slowly, but then he sees when the more devotees surrenders, then the more Krishna gives them to use in devotional service. The devotees are not poor from the material perspective. They're not, but they're not attached to what they have either. That's the point. They're attached to Krishna.
Marge, as you were speaking in Sri Devi, I'll come to you if you don't mind. Marge, as you were speaking about, Krishna will just, if he takes everything on in one go, then it freaks out. And it reminded me, Marge, when Prakshit and I got initiated, and within a span of 9 months, Maharaj, and thank God Bhakti Swami was there, because if he was not there, I think I would have freaked out. Within 9 months, Maharaj, we lost our job, we lost our car, we lost our house, and we got chicken pox, and he was on deathbed. And when I went to Bhakti Swami, I said, Guru, why is this happening? Are we doing something wrong? His $1 million smile, as we call it. He smiled and he said, "Oh, you're lucky. The Lord is favoring you." I said, "Say what?" I said, "What are you talking?" Maharaj, it freaked me out. Within 9 months, I was like, "Say what?" And if he was not there, Maharaj, you're right. I would have freaked out and made a reverse. Seriously.
Yes, that's also part of his arrangement to make sure you understand what happened.
It was definitely a rude awakening, March. Very early on the Krishna conscious, like I think within a year or two of getting initiated, it was crazy. Oh my God.
Yeah. Devotees might be very nicely situated materially, and there's those devotees who have practically nothing. And there's those who are in between. But they're all the same because they're all focused on one thing, Krishna. When Kolavechur Sridhar was favored by Lord Chaitanya, and he was living, I mean, he had clothes that had more holes in it than his clothes. He had a house with a leaky roof. His only possession was one iron pot, but he would gather, banana leaves, banana cups, banana plates, and sell it and use half of it to live, and the other half he would give for the service of Mother Ganges. When the Lord in the 21-hour Mahaprakash Leela was favoring everyone, he called for Sridhar. Sridhar came. When Sridhar realized that that same person who came as a person to buy his banana cups and banana leaves was the Supreme Lord, he fainted. And then the Lord smiled at him and he said, Sridhar, your devotion to me is perfect. I want to give you some benediction. Take it. And Sridhar didn't want anything. And the Lord was encouraging him. Take a house, take a nice wife, and I'll even give you your own planet. He said the Lord was going to really give him everything. And Sridhar looked at the Lord and said, my dear Lord, I'm happy. Why are you trying to make me miserable? He saw all of these material things as a just big burden. That's
Wonderful sharing. Thank you, Mark. I think that's a pastime that I think especially, we should all remind ourselves. Taking up more material stuff means more burden. It's so true.
Yeah.
It is. Thank you so much for reminding us about that beautiful pastime I tend to forget. Thank you, Marge. Sridevi, it's you. I'm sorry, Prabhu, that it took long to get to you.
It's all nectar, no problem. Guru Maharaj, my humble obeisances again. If I may request for a little more enlightenment on this point, in the purport it says, thus a householder is ordered to go to the forest as a vanaprast to acquire complete knowledge and then to take sannyas prior to his inevitable death. So my question is this: we understand Vanaprast, the scriptures clearly say 50 plus, go to the forest, take Vanaprast, etc. But when are we supposed to take sannyas? What is the clarity on that? When should we transition to even giving up whatever little material attachments we have as Vanaprasthas and taking seriously to sannyas as a preparation for death?
You don't know the answer to that one?
I want clarity on that, Gurudev.
The understanding within our society is that we don't recommend people to go to the forest because they don't know what to do when they get to the forest anyway. And the forests are not so what we say filled with sages and saints like they were years ago. And so the idea is to give up the Vanapras means to give up the association of the husband or wife and go to a holy place, whether it's a temple or some designated holy place somewhere, and engage in devotional service there. For the man, the formal sannyas is available, where he can take it and then he can travel and preach. For the woman, it's mentioned they can go to the holy place, serve the Lord of the holy place as their worshipful deity, and finish their life off in that way and go back home, back to God. but both leave the family when the family is no longer needed. When the children are grown up and they have their own families, then that is the time for breaking that relationship and moving into a more renounced type of lifestyle.
So again, Gurudev, if I may humbly ask, what more is needed for a vanaprastha to move to the sannyas state of mind and consciousness? What do we need to purify ourselves for? What kind of austerity we need to perform to become more renounced?
Well, the process is the same. It's not that the process changes, but the association will change, that's all. So you associate with people who are performing the same activities that you want to perform also. You can find them in temples, you can find them in holy places. But the woman doesn't take the formal sannyas. A man takes the formal sannyas and then
I would, if I were in the male body, Gurudev, I would love to take the danda, believe me. What to do? I'm in a female body.
well, you're living in Mayapur. You're in a holy place. You're already in a place where you can perfect your exit and going back home, back to Godhead. So while you're there, serve the Dham by serving the devotees there. Preach Krishna consciousness whenever, as much as you can, and live a very simple and detached life. And use your time for worshiping the Lord and preaching Krishna consciousness. You don't have to go anywhere.
Sorry, Marge, I kind of lost internet connection, was a little unstable on my side. I apologize. Any questions from devotees, please do unmute. Very nice question, Sri Devi, because yeah, when Mars said when we go to the forest, we won't know what to do. I was just imagining myself scratching my head in the forest, thinking whether to move left or right or climb up the tree or stay in the bottom. That was a good point, Marge. It's so true. And Marge, it's such a nice reminder, I think, for us, especially as grihastas, as we get older, when the kids are grown and married off, and it's, as they say, empty nest. I think it's a sign that when the nest is empty, then it's time to give it up.
Yeah, because if you're attached to your husband and wife at the time of death, then you'll take birth again because of that attachment.
Simplify and just move where there's a temple, do service, make it simple. Absolutely.
Do the same thing. So
Yes, Marge. Amritanam, please go ahead. Oh.
I don't think she realizes that she's been called.
Yeah.
No, she froze. I think her internet on her end froze because she's not moving. Oh, there she is.
Krishna.
Now you're good. Now you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry for that. Even my internet is fluctuating. I'm sorry. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. On this point of Vanaprastha, I think what you just mentioned, I see so and I relate it so well, because when Vanaprasthas, they don't do as it was recommended to them, then they end up, clashing, and things get messed up more and more when they try to go back more into the materialistic. They just try they don't separate for the cause, for the higher cause. and they keep finding material reasons. So I see it so well, and even reaching at the point of vanaprastha, they think of getting divorced. And the entire grihastha life is gone, and now I see so many couples that at this time they think of getting divorced.
But divorce is not allowed in Vedic culture and in spiritual circles. Separation is a certain stage of life, which is according to the Varnashram system. That's all. So you don't have to get any legal thing. You just move away from that relationship. That's all. People get divorced because they want to fight over the properties. That's all. They go through the courts to see how much they can get from, their shared amounts of properties. But that's material, and that's for the non-devotees. That's what they do. Devotees just move away.
Right. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Amritanam. Yes, Jagdish Prabhu, please go ahead. Prabhu, can you unmute yourself, please? Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, all humble obeisance to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I was watching a lecture, I think today or yesterday, regarding Lord Krishna said that Srila Prabhupada would appear 5,000 later in 5,000 years ago, and Lord Chaitanya said in 500 years. Can you explain a bit more about this, please?
The question is?
The question is, the Lord Krishna said that Srila Prabhupada would appear on earth in 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 5,000.
Well, he said it's from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Krishna speaking to Mother Ganga. It says, in 5,000 years, my mantra Upasaka will come and spread my name throughout the world. Yeah.
And
Lord Chaitanya predicted Prabhupada's appearance also when he was speaking to Narada Muni, mentioned in the book by Lochan Das Thakur, Chaitanya Mangala, that there will be my Senapati Bhakta. Senapati means general, the best of all devotees, will come, and the materialistic persons will flee to other countries, but he would catch them. So in other words, those who are in India, they run out of India so they can go to the West and enjoy material happiness there. The Lord Chaitanya will track them down and drag them back. I mean, Prabhupada will come and track him down and bring him back.
Also, can I ask you another question? Are we going to get another person like Srila Prabhupada who's going to appear in the future?
It's possible, but to see what Prabhupada was ordained to do this work, there's others who could come and be also very powerful, and taking what Prabhupada given and spread it even farther. We hope that happens. It's already happening on a smaller level. But if one great personality comes, they can do so much.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so much for the wonderful question. Any other questions from devotees or comments? You can put on the chat, or you can raise your hand if you need to ask a question. I'm going to go down the list to make sure that I don't miss anybody. And if there isn't, Maharaj, would you like to end with a round of chanting?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maharaj.
I can only do one round though.
It's fine, Marge, no problem. And Marge, I will send you an email about your visit here. I got the details pretty much squared away.
Yeah, I need to know so I can plan my travel.
Yes, March. I just got it tied up last night. I got, sorry, figured out the whole thing last night. That's what I meant to say.
Good. Okay, so everything ends on the sweet note, so we'll chant Hare Krishna. Jai Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari, Gaura Bhaktivinoda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama. Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class. And we thank all the devotees for joining us. Vanchaka Pribhyascha, Kripasinda Bevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Holiness Chandramauli Swami ki jai.
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 Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you
Guru
very much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna to everyone.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna. Nice class, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Giving class at Brooklyn Temple tomorrow morning at the same time. So those that want to join that class, you can.
March, it will be on, will they be doing on Zoom for those that are not at the temple? Do you know?
You have to
Live stream, you mean?
Live stream, thank you. I couldn't think of the right word, Sridevi.
Yeah, live streaming. Okay. I think Srimati is arranging that.
Okay, so I will let the devotees know.
Yeah, that's for tomorrow. The verse is third canto, 21st chapter, verses 36 and 37.
3:21, 36, 37. Got it.
Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mother.
Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for the class.
Prabhupada was saying something interesting yesterday. He says, there's another way to say Hare Krishna, that's saying Haribol. He said, that's a shortened version of saying Hare Krishna.
Haribol is, yes.
Guru Maharaj,
Nice.
can you please tell us where is that that Prabhupada said that? Was it a morning walk?
It's on a festival. No, it's a lecture on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I think it's 1967 lecture. Not sure of the particular verse, but if you want me to give you the reference, I'll have to take a few minutes and search it out.
Yes, please. I would like to read that because I'm curious about that. I remember TGS Prabhu telling me, why are you saying Hari Bol? Prabhupada never said Hari Bol. He always said Hare Krishna because it combines Radha and Krishna. Hari Bol is just Krishna. He chastised me for saying Hari Bol
Oh my goodness.
long
Wow.
ago.
Listen to this lecture.
Okay.
He chastised you.
Mildly chastised, mildly, not,
Mm.
you know, he's
Well, at least-
Prabhupada's disciple, so I humbly accepted whatever he said. So that's why I got surprised when Guru Maharaj said a shortened form of Hare Krishna is Hari Bol. I accepted his explanation because Hari Bol is say the name of Hari. There's no Krishna Radha there. So he said, why are you saying like that? Prabhupada never said Hari Bol. He always said Hare Krishna.
My husband always says to everybody, Hare Bol. And everybody, when they see him, they say Hari Bol.
Actually, I remember, in the 90s, at least when we joined, early 90s, it was always, mostly was Haribol, 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 that's what it was.
It's called it's at San Francisco, 1967, March 18th. Introduction to CC. That's the
San Francisco. March, which month again, March, you said? San Francisco, 19?
67.
Okay.
March 18th.
March
Yeah.
18th. Okay.
introduction to CC.
Okay.
So it's a lecture then. Lecture.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Gurudev.
Thank
I
you,
will
Marge.
definitely read that. Thank you
Very
very
good.
much.
You got the number plate, Hari Bol.
I know. Exactly. I've seen devotees having that. Yeah. Thank you.
I just found that out. It's interesting. Prabhupada says it's a shortened way of saying Hare Krishna.
Oh, that's nice.
You can hear him speak about it. If you don't want to listen to the lecture, you can look for the transcription of that, and you can try to find it in the transcription also.
Thank you very much. Hare
Thank you, Maharaj. March,
Maharaj.
I'll send the
Hari
email for that weekend to you in the next couple of hours, March. I'm going to put it together.
I'm looking forward.
Yes, Marge. I will do that. Thank you, Marge.
All of my other personalities were bothering me about where I'm going to be. Will be
And because dear Krishna left a message for me last night, so we had to change it up a little bit, but we're clear now. So I'll send it to you.
yeah, good. And he'll be happy because
Multiply and visa.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Marge. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.